Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. I'm SocietySucks and today I'm checking out Witch Hunts by Mitsi Studio. I don't know much about witch hunts. I know about the Salem trials. They took place in the US, I think. But that's pretty much all I know. I'm not sure how this went in Europe, so maybe this video will explain that.
The concept of witchcraft can be traced back thousands of years, and countless stories can be linked to the practice of witchcraft around the world.
A perfect video for Halloween.
Witchery is commonly perceived as a bunch of individuals chatting with Satan, casting spells and boiling poisons.
So the church is definitely going to be involved in this.
However, witchery did not have the same negative associations in every part of the world.
Yeah, that's true.
For example, hieroglyphs depicting the supernatural forces and ritualistic magic are found in the oldest pyramids in Egypt. So, the Egyptian to-do list was magic first, then building pyramids.
I mean, yeah, different cultures
Thousands of years later, the Christian church in early medieval Europe...
I mean, yeah, different cultures perceived magic differently. Some positive, some negative. I think mostly negative,
Europe
though.
was somewhat skeptical of the existence of witches and viewed the whole idea as misguiding, which makes sense when you are all in promoting the existence of God, Jesus, and some more of that. Magic and witchcraft were often seen as remnants of paganism,
Yeah,
and those
true.
practicing it were typically viewed as plain out ignorant rather than malevolent. Because the church does not need a lot of time to show they can be dickheads, by the 12th and 13th centuries, attitudes began to change. The church started to associate witchcraft more directly with heresy. However, the full-scale prosecution of witches was not yet established. Executions were relatively rare, and prosecution often meant excommunication or imprisonment. Not too shabby compared to what was coming.
Yeah, it was only gonna get
During
worse.
the late Middle Ages, the church began to get more creative dealing with witches and magic. Probably because the whole witch thing was now becoming more of a thing, and the church reckoned people were dumb enough to obey them exploiting this whole thing. From the 15th century onwards,
I mean, yeah, obviously, magic, witches, it's not real. But if it was, I would definitely support the church in killing them. Like, I don't care. Witches, people who can use magic, we don't need that. Hell no, get rid of it, kill them all.
witches were believed to make pacts with the devil, exchanging their souls for magic powers.
Obviously, most of these were innocent people
also
who
believed witches were able to cast
weren't
spells
witches, they
and
didn't have
curses.
magic, but whatever.
Another feature witches were known for was shapeshifting, or transgenderism as we know it today. Basically, you could just identify to be a crazy flying bitch with a long pole between your legs. Sound familiar? Witches were also known for abducting children. Besides that, they were accused of causing infertility. Particularly the church feared this. The combination of priests, infertility, and missing children, not comforting at all.
The kidnapping children part makes me think of Baba Yaga. I think the story is that she kidnaps children and eats them. At least I think so. I'm not exactly sure.
Speaking of people trying to keep track of your every move, some things never change. Back then it was the church, today it's your internet provider, advertisers, and a few digital witch hunters watching everything you do online. That's why this video is sponsored by CyberGhost VPN.
I mean, yeah, pretty much
one of the
every
best VPN services out there.
Every company, corporation wants your data because they can use it to target advertisements at you, and they can sell stuff to you that way.
Servers in 100 plus countries, so no one can spy on what you do online.
Data is worth its weight in gold.
Hides your IP address and keeps your online activity completely private, no witchcraft required. You can use it on up to 7 devices at once, unblock content from Netflix, Amazon Prime, and more, and it even comes with a 45-day money-back guarantee. Go to www.cyberghostvpn.com/Mitsi Studio to get 83% off and 4 months free, and protect yourself from the modern-day witch hunt.
Anyway, the list of activities a witch could engage in and therefore be prosecuted for was getting longer. The list of activities...
Misfortune or bad luck, unexplained infant... whatever that means, I don't know, casting curses, invoking the devil's help, herbal knowledge, harming animals, manipulating the weather, inducing incurable diseases, and child abduction and fertility. You know, a lot of these, it's like, there's a thunderstorm today. That means my neighbor is a witch. Let's kill her. Like, if you hate your neighbor, Just say that if there's a thunderstorm, they manipulated it. And now you have a reason to kill them.
A witch could engage in and therefore be prosecuted for was getting longer. All this resulted in the infamous Inquisition. After some time, inquisitors were authorized to investigate and prosecute individuals accused of witchcraft. It goes without saying that these investigations brought a certain amount of pain and discomfort to the
it was really all
targeted
just
by the
torture.
church or the people. Especially that last one was a bit tricky, since anybody could be accused by almost anyone just by pointing a finger. Try talking your way
that's a
out
witch.
of such a watertight judicial process. Even men could be accused of being a witch, but most times the
Wouldn't it
victims
be
were women
a
of
wizard?
old age or people with status who were put on trials for all kinds of reasons. Go figure. A great example that shows how primitive these trials would become are the Northampton witch trials. The main accuser was Elizabeth Belcher, who disliked a young lady called Joan Brown. Elizabeth claimed the young lady put a spell on her. When she fell ill, that was all she needed to take things to court. Her brother William joined in on the accusations. He claimed he visited Brown's cottage
Assholes.
to lift the curse, but an invisible wall stopped him. Now, that sounds like very strong evidence to dispute during a trial, but to be fair, one of our jokes would probably also have her burned at the stake in those days. To make these trials even more pathetic, witch hunters and courts often received financial support to prosecute these witches.
Yeah. It was basically just hiring them to kill people. If you hated someone, just bribe them, and then boom! The person you hate is gonna be burned at the stake because they're a witch. Fucking stupid.
To obtain any confessions, the accused were suspended by their wrists, which were tied behind their backs, often resulting in dislocated shoulders. And not
And
very
at
pleasant.
that point, you're basically dead, because
When
these are the
using
medieval
rack,
times.
the accused were tied to a frame and their bodies became stretched, causing severe pain and potential dislocation of limbs. Waterboarding was also used, and I was hoping not having to explain this one would save us some time. Thumb
at least
screws
that
screwed
one's
up your thumbs, which makes
survivable.
sense, and iron boots fucked up your feet, causing intense pain to the victim. You can imagine many people screamed and ultimately confessed to being a witch. Hell, I would even confess to fingering Maria in a bend-over position just to get out of that pickle.
What the
For many
fuck?
victims, the torture was followed by a death sentence, although sometimes it was difficult to say where one ended and the other began.
Yeah. What? Oh my god.
Some women got executed by hanging or beheading, nothing special about that. Until
Those
it
are probably the
happens to
best
you,
ones.
Of course.
The fastest and
Other
least
forms
painful.
of execution included being burned or drowned.
Those are the worst ones,
When
probably.
drowned, people believed if a person was a witch, they would float for some reason. If the accused were innocent, they would sink. Let me tell you, one does not need a degree in this field to figure out the outcome was going to be bad for the accused either way.
Yeah, here's the thing. I'm quite sure that if you drown, but you're not being held down by some sort of object, like let's say you're tied to a rock that gets pushed, if you just drown and your body's not tied to anything, your body will end up floating after like a few days, I think. Don't quote me on that. I'm not an expert in biology. But if they tied them down, then none of them would float. So they were all innocent. The witch trials are just so stupid.
Another cruel execution method was called pressing, where heavy
Oh,
stones
yeah.
were placed on a
I've heard of
victim's
this
chest.
one.
It's not a given that this method was more or less practical than the other ones. It just looked gruesome, so it was a good deterrent for any would-be witches.
I mean, all of
As
this
we
was just
mentioned earlier,
torture.
most of the people pulled from the streets and prosecuted were women. To be more precise, around 75 to 80% of those accused were female. With women
Well, I mean,
generally
yeah.
having a hard time throughout history, it's kind of refreshing to see them finally being well represented in at least one field. Now, don't come after me for that joke,
That's
you
not a
bunch
good
of
thing.
Karens, or I'll send the Inquisition squad to hunt you all down. Anyway, moving on with the story. It's tough to pin down the exact number of victims who were tried and executed across Europe, but if we had to guess, probably a lot. Most executions took place in the northern regions of the Holy Roman Empire, what we now call
Makes
Germany.
sense.
So, before Germany was Germany, lots of killings. Once Germany was Germany, still
Lots of killings.
Truly a rich history.
Before Germany was Germany, lots of killing. When Germany was Germany, lots of killing. When Germany eventually in the future ceases to exist, probably still gonna be a lot of killing.
In some Middle Eastern countries, stoning was more common for women accused of witchcraft.
These days, however, most of these countries have modernised, and in
Yeah.
some of them, stoning is now reserved only for women who dare to speak their minds. Ouch! And if we hop over to Central Africa, which...
Isn't there also, like, stoning for gay people? I mean, obviously stoning still happens there, definitely to a lesser degree than before, but I think I heard something about gay people being stoned to death somewhere in the Middle East. I think it was Saudi Arabia, maybe?
Guns are still prevalent in multiple African cultures. Countries like
Not
Nigeria,
surprising.
Tanzania and Congo see many cases of elderly women or children being punished for other people's misfortunes. In the country of Malawi, more than 70% of the population still believes witchcraft is the instigator for all kinds of problems.
Wow.
One of them being the bad economic situation of the country, I guess. Although if 70% of your people still believe in witches, maybe you've got your first hint why your economy is beyond fucked. Although if 70% of your people still believe in witches, maybe you've got your first hint why your economy is beyond
Yeah, because
fucked.
everybody's
On top
uneducated.
of that, you have no white American or European inquisitor to blame for that mess. Nope, this is on you guys.
Can't even blame the white
We hope
people
you
this
enjoyed our
time.
flaming witchcraft video. If you like these deep dives into history, make sure to subscribe and check out some more videos on our channel. See you around.
I mean, yeah, this video, perfect topic for Halloween. Yeah, I'm quite sure that the witch hunts happened during a period where humanity was just incredibly stupid. People were dumb. They believed that there was magic and witches. You could pretty much accuse anyone you didn't like of being a witch, and they were basically guaranteed to die. And yeah, that's pretty much everything there is to say. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. If you want to see more reactions, check out this video right here. Happy Halloween, and I hope I'll see you in the next video.